Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the F&M chairman says there's no need to change the captain during a crisis. 14 COVID-19 deaths in 5 days. Political parties kick their election campaigns into high gear. This as the chief medical officer pleads for careful campaigning. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, there's no reason to change captains in the middle of a crisis, according to Free National Movement Chairman Carl Culmer, who's expressing confidence that voters will re-elect the Free National Movement on September 16th. Bethany McDermott reports.
He admits that the Free National Movement government has failed to deliver on multiple promises due to shifting priorities, but party chairman Carl Culmer says there is no better team to take the country forward.
There's no reason for behemoths to change captain in the middle of a crisis.
On Thursday, Parliament was dissolved and Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that the general election will take place on September 16th. As of Wednesday morning, over 194,000 names were on the voter register. However, it is unclear how many names were added before the register was closed. Culmer called on voters to return the F&M to office when they head to the polls. He said despite the challenges the government has faced, the F&M's record is unmatched.
Yes, the F&M hasn't done everything that they promised to do. Yes, the F&M may have did some things that we thought they should have done, in terms of bringing some bills forward. But they understand, and I trust my Bahamian people. They understand that at the end of the day, this government is the best government to lead this nation.
Shortly after the Prime Minister's election announcement, the F&M painted the town red, planting lawn signs across New Providence. Culmer said Minnis had been hinting at an early election and the party is ready.
You asked if the party is ready. The government has brought in a number of vaccines to get the country prepared. We need to get the country on a steady course towards bringing back. And the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, along with his team, has organized that persons can get vaccinated. And so at the end of the day, we need to get this country moving. We need to get this country back on course. And at the end of the day, I think we're all ready.
The question for many is how will election campaigns look this political season at a time when both public and private hospitals are overwhelmed with COVID patients and numbers are rising. Culmer wouldn't say too much about the F&M's campaign plans, but insisted political events will be scaled down. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Terribly disconnected from the people is how Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis is describing the Free National Movement. During a national address last evening, Davis said the F&M simply doesn't deserve another chance, as all it did over the past few years was make excuses and ignore the cries of the people.
They're asking you to believe up is down, black is white, terrible is terrific, and their contempt for you is such that they believe you will. Their failure to acknowledge reality is an admission of failure and defeat. They've given up. They've given up on the country, and they've given up on you. They can't do better than this, and they don't think you deserve better either.
PLP Deputy Leader Chester Cooper says after 4 years of governance, the F&M led by Dr. Minnis still has no vision and no plan to move the country forward.
This is the most uncaring and inept administration in the history of the Bahamas. The Progressive Liberal Party is ready to step forward to help lead the country into a new day. We have a plan to do just that.
In other news, health officials confirming 14 new COVID-19 deaths between August 13th and 17th. Among them are a 33-year-old woman on New Providence and 3 people on Abaco. This brings the total number of COVID-19 deaths to 330. However, 44 deaths are under investigation. As of Wednesday, 149 cases were in hospital. 16 of them are in the intensive care unit. And there's a new 8 p.m. curfew for Andros and Abaco, according to the latest emergency powers. Beginning tomorrow, August 21st, curfew on North, Central, and South Andros will be 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Businesses on that island will also be required to shut down by 7 p.m. Abaco and the surrounding keys will be placed on a similar schedule with curfew hours between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. This comes as restrictions for cruise ships entering the Bahamas are also being tightened in the latest emergency orders. Beginning on September 3rd, all passengers 12 years and older will be required to be fully vaccinated prior to embarking a cruise ship at the start of the voyage. The captain and the master of the cruise ship must also transmit a crew and passenger manifest to the port medical officer, disclosing the vaccination status of all on board prior to arriving at the port. Those restrictions will remain in effect until November 1st. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is expected to address the nation on Sunday. The PM is expected to speak on the ongoing response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the arrival of more vaccines in the country, and the rollout on the Family Islands. Be sure to tune in to RTV Channel 212 following Our News on Sunday night and catch it live streaming on Our News Facebook page. From the courts, 6 days after an immigration officer was murdered during a double shooting in Victoria Gardens, a man was charged in connection with that incident and another double shooting on Marshall Road. Jillian Gray has the details.
28-year-old Bram Charlton appeared before Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt on 4 charges, including last week's double shooting in Victoria Gardens. Prosecutors allege that Charlton is responsible for the August 14th killing of immigration officer Lanisha Ambrister and the attempted murder of Drazen Dean. According to police, the victims were in a black Toyota Passo last Saturday when they were stopped at an intersection of Victoria Boulevard and Meadow Street by the occupants of a gray Jeep, who opened fire on them, killing Ambrister and wounding Dean. Charlton is also charged in connection with the August 9th shooting death of Dino Brown on Marshall Road and the attempted murder of Dennis Bowles. According to police, 2 men were standing outside a home off Marshall Road when a dark-colored Jeep pulled through the corner and 2 men exited. One of the gunmen was armed with a handgun while the other had a rifle. They allegedly shot at the men, killing one of them and seriously injuring the other. Charlton's co-accused Brandon Pinder recently appeared before the chief magistrate. Charlton was not required to enter a plea and will return to court on December 6 for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
In other news, political parties kicking their election campaigns into high gear last night following the announcement of the election date. From signs plastered across the island to political gatherings, candidates have pulled out all the stops in an effort to sway voters. Kyle Joaquin takes a look.
To say election fever is in the air would be an understatement. There are signs literally everywhere. Just take a look behind me. There is signage in the grass and even in the trees. It's almost as if political parties were ready and just had to press play. By Thursday evening, signage was all along the streets. Whether it read, "It's about your future," or "It's a new day." The PLP and FNM wasting no time painting the town yellow and red.
Right now, as it stands, we're looking to put up at least 1,000 between here and Barmar.
Wow. 1,000 between here and Barmar?
Because the Prime Minister got 3,000.
We found these PLP supporters on Go Slow Bend playing catch-up, putting down thousands of lawn signs.
We got from Kalani start from right here to Lightfoot Key, so it's about probably 6 miles we got to cover, 6 by 4, and we coming straight around.
Those lawn signs were on just about every road. Mere moments after the Prime Minister's announcement, video ads from both major parties were released.
Focusing on saving lives and livelihoods. And while we have more to go, better days are ahead.
I'm Mario Bolay. I'm Barkus Roll. I'm Wade Watson. And I'm Leo Lightbourne.
The FNM focusing on the pandemic and the PLP focusing on its new faces, parties began rolling out their new ads with the swiftness. The excitement felt in just about each constituency, here and on the Family Islands.
They say I can't count. But when that poll closes, every ballot will be counted. And the victory will be
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is set to give another national address on Sunday. In the meantime, parties appear to be in full campaign mode, sure to make this a busy 4 weeks. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, pleasant conditions today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for your Friday's first look at weather. We have that moisture outside our studios, keeping humidity really high, temperatures in the mid-80s, 85 degrees outside our studios with some passing clouds. We also have some showers in the distance, and we could see a couple more showers later on tonight. Verbal winds at 4 knots, and your feels-like temperature factoring the humidity in the mid to upper 80s. Satellite view, believe it or not, we have some moisture associated with Henri, which is drifting towards the south and west across the northwest Bahamas, triggering a few showers. That ridge of high pressure continues at the surface, though, generating some breezy conditions across the central and southeastern islands, and we will continue to see some moisture hanging across the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the TUC president's election prediction. The Vax mobile unit rolls into challenges, and later Doctors Hospital defends the cost of COVID tests. The details when our news returns.
The Great True True Bahamian Treasure Hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch Our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow Our TV Originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch Our News Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week because the contest runs all summer long. Go to Our TV Originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson is predicting workers will vote their interest on Election Day. This as he slammed the Minnis administration's treatment of workers. Bethany McDermott has more.
I'm not going to support you if you don't support me. Simple. And that's my message to the workers.
Weeks before voters head to the polls, Trade Union Congress President Obie Ferguson is predicting the Free National Movement will not get workers' support. He said workers' agenda will play an important role in which party they support.
And that's quite obvious. I mean, that's obvious for all to see. I mean, when you look at what's happened in BPL, when you look at what's happening at water and sewage, when you look at what's happening with the Educators Union, and when you look at all the unions, National Insurance, all of the unions.
Ferguson said he finds government's treatment of workers strange, considering the role the trade union movement plays in the country's development. According to the TUC president, during the Minnis administration's term in office, a number of decisions were made without union input, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ferguson said news of an early election didn't surprise him in light of a days-long sick-out in the public healthcare sector. Since then, Bahamas Power and Light workers have walked off the job, and the Bahamas Union of Teachers is threatening industrial action.
You have X period of time to do it. You didn't do it. You don't want to do it. You don't think you should be discussing it with the working people. So what do? You have to do what you have to do.
Now, back in May, the labor movement released the Workers' Agenda, which is a list of 13 demands they say political parties must agree to before they can get their support. Now, Ferguson says the labor movement only met with the PLP, the Coalition of Independents, and the DNA on these matters. When asked if there's a chance the FNM can still meet with them, Ferguson says it's a bit too late.
The House is not being dissolved. I'll take care of that. So, on what basis could a government attempt to address the amendments to the Employment Act, the Industrial Relations Act, or the Occupational Health and Safety Act?
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, as campaign season ramps up, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan is calling for safe campaigning and adherence to COVID protocols. It comes as the country battles a third wave of cases with both major hospitals at capacity.
We anticipate that the public health measures, the protocols that we would have put in place, will continue to be followed. If we were to move in the direction of, an election, or, we would have to take into consideration those measures in order for us to keep the people safe.
Candidates and their teams have hit the ground running, going door to door and hosting mini motorcades. McMillan says safety is most important.
And to keep safe, as we do what is required for the country. So I anticipate that public health measures will continue to be followed.
When the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines began in the Bahamas, priority groups were established. Among them were homebound and physically disabled residents who were unable to make it to vaccination sites. However, months later, chair of the National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee, Dr. Merceline Dahl-Regis, says the mobile unit has been met with resource challenges.
We had a mobile unit, and that is very labor intensive, in that you go into people's homes, but you have to have all the emergency services right there in case of an event, and you have to observe for a period of time, and then you have travel time to and from, so you can imagine you can't do too many.
With the arrival of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the country, Dr. Dahl-Regis says they now have the option to use a one-shot approach to vaccinate those residents.
If we could do a one dose, that would help, if that is if that's an opportunity.
Up next, Grand Bahama Utilities RO plant faces an unexpected delay, and the country's coral reefs are at risk. The details when our news returns.
The great True True Bahamian treasure hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow our TV originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch our news Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week, because the contest runs all summer long. Go to our TV originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
This is our news. Welcome back. Doctors Hospital is defending the cost of its COVID-19 tests. CEO Dr. Charles Diggis asserting the exercise isn't free for the hospital. Jared Higgs tells us more.
During the course of the pandemic, as COVID-19 tests became mandatory for domestic and return travel home, many complained that the costs of the tests were prohibitive. Doctors Hospital is among the leading private institutions providing the service.
The testing is not free to Doctors Hospital, unlike the provision of the vaccines.
Doctors Hospital's RT-PCR test costs $134.40, while its rapid antigen tests cost $22.40. CEO Dr. Charles Diggis says if government would have provided the test kits, the hospital would have conducted testing for free.
If Doctors Hospital was in a position where we were provided or given testing resources free, then absolutely, we would be willing to convert that into a free testing service and simply address the coverage of the cost that we incur for the administration.
In any event, Diggis says Doctors Hospital has the most affordable tests on the market.
But I think the public just needs to appreciate then that Doctors Hospital continues to carry the lowest cost in the rapid antigen testing and the RT-PCR testing space, because we understand that it is important to allow the public to access the need for tests and the testing without having a big impediment like cost.
PLP leader Philip Davis has promised free testing if his party comes into power. Others point out that testing is free for persons displaying COVID symptoms. But critics of government's testing regime say more widespread testing would lead to earlier detection of COVID outbreaks. PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell says it's the government's responsibility, not Doctors Hospital.
Government's resources. That was our point, not Doctors Hospital. They're a private operation. We're saying that the public ought to be provided with free testing by the government. And that's our view, still our position. And should we win office, that's the way forward.
Reporting for Our News, I am Jared Higgs.
In other news, Grand Bahama Utility Company's $5 million reverse osmosis plant facing a slight setback. Director of Operations Filcher Grant says officials were preparing to enter the final phase of construction, but they're now facing an unexpected delay in shipment of the filtration units, which are critical, not only to the operations of the plant, but also to the last phase of testing and commissioning. GBUC says it was advised that the filtration units were loaded in error onto a cargo ship to Belgium, adding the company has been given an estimated arrival date of September 18th. As a result, GBUC says the current 25% discount for customers without potable water will remain in place until the RO plant is fully commissioned, as well as free water sites where potable water has not been restored. And Bahamian coral reefs could be facing severe impact by a disease that kills coral at a rapid rate. The Bahamas Reef Educational and Environmental Foundation, or Reef, is looking at ways to combat the dangerous disease that has already been identified in 3 areas of the country.
Stony coral tissue loss disease is a major threat to our coral reefs. It is a very rapidly progressing disease that was noticed in Florida first. And then the first place it was located in the Bahamas was in Grand Bahama, on the south side of Grand Bahama, and has since been found in New Providence and Eleuthera and many other islands.
A recent study has found that Bahamian coral reefs could experience local extinctions of at least 3 coral species that are already rare. The study, published in the Frontiers of Marine Science, was authored by researchers of the Perry Institute of Marine Science and Coral Vita in Grand Bahama. Reef Executive Director Kajarina McKinney-Lambert says Reef is aware of the disease and its devastating effects.
And it's you can tell that it is on a coral when you see the white stony skeleton of the coral. That's obviously dead coral that hasn't yet been overgrown by algae.
The study has found that stony tissue loss disease, or SCTLD, was brought to Grand Bahama sometime in 2019 by tainted ballast water. From there, it spread to New Providence. McKinney says it can also spread from something as simple as scuba equipment.
So we're certainly encouraging people to report it. If you see it, contact the Department of Marine Resources. And there's also concern about taking diving equipment from one place to the next that isn't properly sanitized.
Rain or sunny skies this weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center, and business opportunities popping up in Golden Gates. That's coming up when our news returns.
The great True True Bahamian Treasure Hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow our TV originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch our news Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week, because the contest runs all summer long. Go to our TV originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
Welcome back to our news. Some showers may move in this weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christine, and welcome back everybody for your final look at weather. Taking a look at our satellite view, of course, we have 2 systems out there. Grace regained hurricane status in the Bay of Campeche. Showers and thunderstorms associated with that consolidating around the center of circulation. It should be moving into Mexico, generating some widespread showers and some mudslides across that area. And of course, we are watching also Henri, which is to the northeast of the Bahamas, but some of that moisture hanging out across the northwest Bahamas, generating some showers and some isolated thunderstorms. We expect that to continue through tomorrow. Henri is NES hurricane status with 70-mile-per-hour winds. Should be moving towards the northwest and eventually turn more northerly over the next 24 to 36 hours and move away from the Bahamas. Ridge of high pressure continues to dominate tropics. We have 1 tropical wave that the National Hurricane Center is giving a 20% chance for some formation, and we will continue to watch that for the next couple of days. Taking a look at the track of Henri. Henri is going to be moving up towards the north. It's moved a little more towards the left of its track, so it's going to get a little closer to the United States of America. But out of Henri, we expect some swells to be affecting the Bahamas through the weekend. So if you plan on doing any beaching or boating, do exercise some caution. Speaking of our boating forecast for tonight through tomorrow for the northwest and for the northwest Bahamas, East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet. We do expect some swells, so some swells could be up to about 6 feet out there on the northern shorelines. While in the central and southeast Bahamas, caution flag for you, east to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. Outside of the moisture associated with Henri, we do expect some Saharan dust to be affecting the islands into the weekend. That's a look at your weather. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, 15 businesses will be displaying their goods in the open lot across from Golden Gates Church on Saturday during an initiative designed to assist entrepreneurs in the community. It is the brainchild of DNA candidate Lamont Nixon, who says the need for more business opportunities was a concern for constituents he spoke with.
As a result of the whole COVID situation, you had a lot of people just doing businesses from their home. So my thing was how can I best help them? So what I did, I just started to think, and I was like, why don't we do a pop-up market so that we could, give them some sort of platform so that they could display what they're doing. So that was one of the main reasons. So we have about 15 vendors. About 15 or a little bit more coming out there.
Entertainers from the community will perform from 12 to 5 p.m. Nixon says it will also create networking opportunities for small business owners.
All the COVID-19 protocols are going to be in place, so you would have, of course, everybody will have to be 6 feet apart. Everything is still have to be exercised. And we will have people out there making sure that happens.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.